Hello everybody, this is Howie from How I Learn, and welcome to episode 3 of How I Learn to Code. Just a quick summary. Episode 1 was a quick tour through the HTML basics. The second episode was CSS basics, and now, following the curriculum in FreeCodeCamp, our upcoming section is the Applied Visual Design section. So let's take a quick look into the introduction. Introduction to the applied visual design is web development. Visual design and web development is a broad topic. It combines typography, color theory, graphics, animation, and page layout to help deliver a site's message. The definition of good design is a well-discussed subject with many books on the theme. At a basic level, most web content provides a user with information. The visual design of the page can influence its presentation and the user's experience. Web development HTML gives structure and semantics to a page's content, and CSS controls the layout and appearance. So HTML gives structure and semantics to the content, and CSS controls the layout and appearance. This section covers some of the basic tools developers use to create their own visual designs. Okay, let me copy that into my notes. And let's start with the first lesson in this chapter. So this will be 1.3.1. This section of the curriculum focuses on applied visual design. The first group of challenges build on the given card layout to show a number of core principles. Text is often a large part of web content. CSS has several options for how to align it with the text align property. Okay, so a new property. Text align justify causes all lines of text except the last line to meet the left and right edges. Okay, I know this from like Word. Text align center, text align right, and text align left. Align the H4 tags text, which says Google, to the center. H4, where is H4? Here it is. So I guess we do text align center. Then justify the paragraph tag, which contains information about how Google was founded. So this is the paragraph tag, text align justify. Control Enter to check. Okay, that was correct. Oops. And I'll close the style. Apply. Okay, second lesson. Adjust the width of an element using the width property. You can specify the width of an element using the width property in CSS. Values can be given in relative length units, such as EM. Absolute, this was like the font, text font, I guess. Is there a way to find that? Space, EM space? No. Oh, here we go. Oh, I had it. EM is based on the size of an element's font, right? Okay, absolute length units such as pixels or as percentage of its containing parent element. Here's an example that changes the width to 220. Image, width. Add a width property to the entire card and set it to an absolute value of 245 pixels. Use the full card class to select the element. Okay, this is a tiny bit confused. Oh, okay, this is the full card class. Oh, so this is what they mean with a card. Okay, so wait, let's see what, maybe I should have like analyzed the code in the first lesson, but this is kind of the same lesson. So, okay, let's see. So there's an H4, it's a paragraph, there are links, there's a full card. Full card has a solid border. I guess this is the short form of its color. Radius, border radius of 5 pixels, margin and padding. card content, so this is the text inside, and padding 10 pixels for the card content. So this is the style, and then div class full card. Okay, a divider. So they create a full card. Within that they create content, and within that they first create text, card text. So div class card text, h4 Google, paragraph, closing the card text. So, and then in the content there's card links. href class is links, so it's taking its properties from here. And then target blank class is equal to links, so this is an anchor. Then close the div, close all the divisions or dividers or whatever sections. So okay, so it looks like okay, card content is identified here, or defined, but card text isn't. But that's H4 and P, so that's okay-ish, and full card is up here. Okay, so add a width property to the entire card, and then use the full card class to select the element. Right, so this is this is the class, so width 245 pixels. Right? Yeah, I'll just copy the entire example because we don't have that here yet. Control Enter. Okay, so it created a card here. I told it to be 245 pixels. Okay. Adjust the height of an element, so it's similar to width, I guess. 1.3.2. Oops, I didn't paste the lesson itself. You can specify the height, similar to width. So add height property to the h4 tag and set it to 25 pixels. So height 25 px. Wonder what happens if I do 50 px. So this is the height of this text. Interesting that it only pushes this text down. Okay, this is probably controlled by the padding of the card. No, of the card content. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Okay, 25 pixels. Okay. Use the strong tag to make text bold. 1.3.3. To make text bold, you can use the strong tag. This is often used to draw attention to text and to symbolize that it is important. With the strong tag, the browser applies the CSS of font weight bold to the element. Oh, so I guess there are two ways to do it. You can either type font weight bold or just use strong. Wrap a strong tag around the Stanford University inside the P tag. Okay, P is down here, Stanford is here. It doesn't tell us how to do it. Maybe just like this, strong, open the tag, and then close the tag, like this. Because if I don't close it, it'll be the whole thing, right? Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's what they want. Control Enter. No, the strong tag should wrap around the words Stanford University. I guess because of this extra space I created. Okay, great. Can delete the extra space here as well. 1.3.4. Use the U tag to underline text. To underline text, you can use U, and this is often to signify a section that is important. Text declaration underline. Wrap the U tag only around the PhD students. Try to avoid using the U tag when it could be confused for a link. Anchor tags also have a default underline formatting. Right, that makes sense. They were PhD students /U, right? Okay, so that worked. I guess it makes, like, in a way, nobody would expect to click on PhD students in the sentence, right? So I guess that makes sense. Okay, no issues there. Use the EM tag to italicize text. Or italicize. To emphasize text, you can use the EM tag. Okay, interesting. So the EM is both this italic tag, and it's also this relative unit. Font style italic. Wrap it around the contents of the paragraph tag. So the whole paragraph. The entire paragraph. EM. EM. Copied my solution, checked the validity, and next chapter. 1.3.6. Use the S tag to strike through text. To strike through text, which is when a horizontal line cuts across the characters. Okay, it's no longer valid. Wrap the S tag around Google inside the H4 and then add the word alphabet beside it, which should not have the strike through formatting. Okay, so apparently we don't want to say that Google. Interesting. Well, let's just try and see what happens. So S. So now, and then add the word alphabet. With the space? Yeah. Okay, so now we're just saying it used to be Google. This sentence used to have this word, but it's not valid anymore, and now it's alphabet. Copied my solution, Control Enter. Include the word alphabet in the H4 tag. Oh, inside H4 tag. Okay, sorry. Can't undo anymore. Oh, EM. Okay, right. So H4, S. And then, sorry, alphabet. Right. I guess, should I add a, I don't know if I should add a space. It doesn't say that I should, so I guess it doesn't expect me to. Okay. Create a horizontal line using the HR element. HR for horizontal, that makes sense. You can use the HR tag to add a horizontal line across the width of its containing element. Okay, across the width of its containing element. This can be used to define a change in topic or to visually separate groups of content. Add an HR tag underneath H4, which contains the card title. Okay, so I wonder if the line will just go, from here to here, or from here to here. It says the width of its containing element. So I guess it's just going to be underneath the title. Add an HR tag. In HTML, HR is a self-closing tag and therefore doesn't need a separate closing tag. So is it just HR? Oh. Okay, so this, its parent is card text. Card text doesn't have any width properties, right? So I guess card text, card content, padding, full card. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I can just experiment a little bit. It does the same thing. Putting it here probably does the same thing. Okay, and let's try putting it here. Same width. Oh, there we go. So full card. So full card width is 245. Card content has padding, so it's probably 225. So let's see what happens when I do 225. Okay, then this also has padding, so if I delete the padding here, they should have the same width, and they do. Okay, so I think that makes sense. Let me delete this. Right, so this is pretty easy, just adding HR. I wonder why it's called HR and not HL. Horizontal. Okay, not an important question, but I'm still curious. So I'll add that. Oh, right, I have to say, so this is our new section, 1.3. What was it called? Applied Visual Design. Why is the horizontal line tag called HR and not HL? I'm sure there's another tag that's called HL, and that's probably why. Okay. Did I copy paste this? I don't think so. Instead of adjust the background color property of text. Instead of adjusting your overall background or the color of the text to make the foreground easily readable, you can add a background color to the element holding the text you want to emphasize. This challenge uses RGBA instead of hex codes or normal RGB. RGBA stands for the alpha level of opacity. Oh, nice. The RGB values, we know that. To 0, which is the alpha value can range from 1, which is fully opaque or solid, to 0, which is fully transparent. Nice. It is great to use in this case as it allows you to adjust the opacity. This means you don't have to completely block out the background. You'll use background color RGBA 0.1 for this challenge. It produces a dark gray color that is nearly transparent given the low opacity value of 0.1. To make the text stand out more, adjust the background color of the H4 element. So background color RGBA, right? 45, 45, 45, 0.1. Nice. So can I add padding here? Probably can, right? No. Can I add a margin? No. Interesting. I wonder why that doesn't work. Well, the thing is, I just want this gray area to go a bit higher. Like, you know how there's space down here, but there's none here? Maybe it's because, so H4, right, it's the same thing. So why margin bottom, card text? Margin top 30, 40 px. That doesn't help either. Padding, what about here? No. Height, text align center. Okay, I don't know yet how to do that. Margin bottom 30. Okay, so I'll add that question as well. How do I change the height of the gray area here so that there is a gray area above the text similar to below the text. Something like that. So that's a question as well, so it can stay red. I copied that here. Right, so I did the RGBA to make the text internet. Also, for H4, remove the height property. Oh, okay. Let's see. Padding. I didn't try padding. Padding. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. Padding. So we already have an answer for that. It's padding. So remove height, add padding. Cool. Well, I don't really have to add it as an extra question because it's answered here within FCC, but nonetheless, let's download the solution. Adjust the size of a header versus a paragraph text. The font size of header tags should generally be larger than the font size of paragraph tags. This makes it easier for the user to visually understand the layout and the level of importance of everything on the page. Use the font size property to adjust the size of the text in an element. To make the heading significantly larger than the paragraph, change the font size of the H4 tag to 27 pixels. Font size 27 px. It was easy. Add a box shadow to a card-like element. I like this card thing. Like, you know, you could do a Kanban style to-do list. Of course, gotta know how to drag this thing, and then how to change different properties. But yeah, once I know a bit more, I could use my knowledge to create something like that. Add a box. The box shadow property applies one or more shadows to an element. The box shadow property takes values for offset x, how far to push the shadow horizontally, offset y, vertically, blur radius, spread radius, and a color value in that order. The blur radius and spread radius values are optional. Here's an example to create multiple shadows with some blur at mostly transparent black colors. Box shadow. Oh, so I guess this is the offset x, offset y, blur radius, spread radius, okay, this is a bit confusing. Which value is which value? Let's see, box shadow value property. None. H offset, so what's none? E offset, blur, spread, color, inset, initial, inherit. Don't really get this. More example. There we go. 5, 5, blue. 10, 10, 8, 10. Okay, so it looks like, so this is blur radius, I'm guessing. Let's just try it out. The element now has an ID of thumbnail. With this selector, so where's thumbnail? Oh, okay. Use the example CSS values above to place a box shadow on the card. Okay, now, is this what I have to do? Thumbnail. create a class, box shadow, 0, 10 pixels, 20 pixels, RGBA, 0, 0, 0, 0.19, 0, 6 pixels, 6 pixels, RGBA, 0, 0, 0, 0.23, semicolon. So, box shadow property for the thumbnail ID. I thought so. Okay, let's see. Maybe I made a mistake with the syntax. Let's just copy paste it. Oh yeah, looks like there was an issue. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Oh, a 0 was missing. Right? No. Let's see what 0, 10 RGBA. Oh, this extra space here. Okay, this is what was messing it up, I think. Yeah. So now it should be the same. My code and there. Yeah. Okay, so now there's a box shadow. I created a class called thumbnail. I think this was called a class, right? And then this has the ID thumbnail, so it will use this property. Right, okay. So this in the style, thumbnail, and then close style, and then this, something like that. Great. Decrease the opacity of an element. It is used to adjust and control the transparency of an item. 1 is opaque, which isn't transparent. 0.5 is half see-through. 0 is completely transparent. The value given will apply to the entire element, whether that's an image with some transparency or the foreground and background colors for a block of text. Set the opacity, the anchor tags, to 0.7 using links class to select them. Of the anchor tags, so these, using links, so we have a links class here, right? And then we say opacity 0.7. There we go. That's it. Okay, pretty simple. Use the text transform property to make text uppercase. 1.3.12. The text transform property in CSS is used to change the appearance of text. It's a convenient way to make sure text on a web page appears consistently without having to change the text content of the actual HTML elements. The following table shows how the different text transform values change. The example text transform me. Oh, okay. Lowercase, uppercase, capitalized, initial. Use the default value. Inherit. Use the text transform value from the parent element. Okay, that makes sense. None. Use the original text. Transform the text of the H4 to be uppercase using the text transform property. H4, text transform, uppercase. Okay, cool. Nice, that's pretty powerful. I didn't know you could do that just with one property, you know. I thought, it seems to me like you would have to write a code, a very short code, but like take all of those letters. Oh, I wonder if, you know, let's say, so maybe this text transform property didn't exist 5 years ago in CSS, right? So you would have to use, let's say, JavaScript or whatever. Wonder if I can see that. So maybe it's 1.0. Is there a way I can see when this property was developed? Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, just was curious. But it looks like 1.0, the first version of Chrome supported it, so I guess it's pretty old. Oh, no, that's something else. Any. Wow, lots of examples. Last updated, tags. Ooh, what's this? Browser compatibility. Okay. We've seen that already. Oh, nice. So much detail. Okay, so maybe it's been around for a long time. Okay, so use the text transform property to make text uppercase. Didn't I do that? Oh, right, I went back. Right. Text transform uppercase. Set the font size for multiple heading elements. The font size property is used to specify how large the text is in a given element. This rule can be based for multiple elements to create visual consistency of text on a page. In this challenge, you'll set the values for all H1 through H6 tags to balance the heading sizes. Okay, so interesting. So H1 font size 68px, H2 font size 52px, H3 font size. Okay, maybe I can just copy this part. 40px, H4 32px, H5 21px. There must be a faster way to do this, like with a better editor. Oh, I forgot that I had copied that. So this is probably it, right? Yep. Pretty simple. Don't need to copy paste the solution. Oh. Your code should set the font size property. Oh, okay. Forgot the dashes. There we go. Set the font weight for multiple heading elements. What's a font weight? You set the font size of each heading tag in the last challenge. Here you'll adjust the font weight. The font weight sets how thick or thin characters are in a section of text. Oh, it's like bold, but you have more control, I guess. Oh, interesting. Font weight 800px. Did that work? What about 8000? Doesn't look like it worked. Set the font weight of the H1 tag to 800. Oh, maybe that's maximum. That's why it didn't work. No? I don't get it. sets how thick or thin characters are in a section of text. H1 font weight, colon, 50 pixels. Oh, no pixels. There we go. Whew. Interesting. Wow, that's cool. We can control the boldness. Oh, okay, that's not... There is a maximum. Maybe it's 800. Looks like it's 800. Okay, so 800. Don't need to type that manually every time now, I guess. Slowly getting that feeling. 5, 4, 3, 2. Cool, font weight. Set the font size of paragraph text. Didn't we do that already? Sounds familiar. The font size property is not limited to headings. It can be applied to any element containing text. Change the value of font size property for paragraph to 16 pixels to make it more visible. Okay, font size 16. That's it. Ah. I guess this gives you a feeling of, quick, small accomplishments all the time, so you feel good. Set the line height of paragraphs. CSS offers the line height property to change the height of each line in a block of text. As the name suggests, it changes the amount of vertical space that each line of text gets. Oh, okay. Set it to 25. Let's try 250 first, because I want to see what it looks like. Line height, 250 pixels. Right, so it's telling HTML to leave that much space as if the text were 250, as if the font size was 250 pixels, but keep the font size 16, right? So let's remember this line, or is there an easy line we can... Okay, so lorem ipsum here, right, is almost at the bottom of this one, or it's at the top of this R, right here. So if I change this to 0, I delete this and change this to 250, it should, the bottom of the text should, oh. Okay, maybe that's not exactly how it works. Control Enter. Adjust the hover state of an anchor tag. I guess like what happens when you mouse over the tag. Like if it should change colors. This challenge will touch on the usage of pseudo classes. A pseudo class is a keyword that can be added to selectors in order to select a specific state of the element. Pseudo class. For example, the styling of an anchor tag can be changed for its hover state using the hover pseudo class selector. Here's the CSS to change the color of the anchor tag to red during its hover state. So A is an anchor. Right, so we're telling all anchors should be this color. And then the code editor, add a rule so that when the user hovers over the A tag, the color is blue. A hover color. Let's try first. So right now nothing happens. Huh. So A, and then this is like a state. Pseudo class selector. Pseudo class selector state hover. Okay, so these are all the pseudo classes. Here are some interesting examples: visited, checked, hover, empty, enabled, first child, focus, visible, has, not, blah blah blah. Okay, so these are some of them. I'll just add these. These are pretty interesting. So I want to add visited, checked, hover. Okay, so we have, so just visited and checked. Right? Yeah. I just want to add those also, or other states, right? Other sample states. I can add this link too, why not? Okay, so to make it less confusing, I'll just add this as the solution, and then here is the extra information. Control Enter. Next up, change an element's relative position. CSS treats each element. Okay, let's continue from here. Sorry. CSS treats each HTML element as its own box, which is usually referred to as the CSS box model. Block level items automatically start on a new line, like headings, paragraphs, and divs, while inline items sit within surrounding content, like images or spans. The default, so span is an inline item. The default layout of elements in this way is called the normal flow of a document, but CSS offers the position property to override it. When the position of an element is set to relative, it allows you to specify how CSS should move it relative to its current position in the normal flow of the page. It pairs with the CSS offset properties of left or right and top or bottom. These say how many pixels, percentages, or EMs to move the item away from where it normally is positioned. The following example moves a paragraph 10 pixels away from the bottom. Changing an element's position to relative does not remove it from the normal flow. Other elements around it still behave as if that item were in its default position. Note: positioning gives you a lot of flexibility and power over the visual layout of a page. It's good to remember that no matter the position of elements, the underlying HTML markup should be organized and make sense when read from top to bottom. This is how users with visual impairments access your content. Change the position of the H2 to relative and use a CSS offset to move it 15 pixels away from the top of where it sits in the normal flow. Notice there is no impact on the positions of the surrounding H1 and P elements. Oh, interesting. So position relative, top 15. Oh, so I can even make it stand on top of the other one? Oh, wow. I still think the H2 is where it normally sits. Okay, this is what the paragraph thinks. I can probably do minus 15 as well, right? Yeah. Goodbye. Hello. Okay, so this is also very similar to the example. Move a relatively positioned element with CSS offsets. Oh, I wonder if I can paste animations here. Oh, nice. Nice, 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 nice. Is it a GIF? Okay, it's a GIF. The CSS offset of top or bottom and left or right tell the browser how far to offset an item relative to where it would sit in the normal flow of the document. You're offsetting an element away from a given spot, which moves the element away from the referenced side. Effectively the opposite direction, yes. As you saw in the last challenge, using top moved H2 downwards. Likewise, using use CSS offset to move the H2 15 pixels to the right and 10 pixels up. So if you want to move it 15 pixels to the right, you have to say left 15px and bottom 10px. That makes sense, right? Should have checked first. Great. Lock an element to its parent with absolute positioning. The next option for the CSS position property is absolute, which locks the element in place relative to its parent container. Unlike the relative position, this removes the element from the normal flow of the document, so surrounding items ignore it. The CSS offset properties, top or bottom, are used to adjust the position. Okay, this removes the element from the normal flow. So surrounding items ignore it. Not sure what that's supposed to mean. Surrounding items ignore it. Like with the relative position, surrounding items also ignored it. You could just move it and it wouldn't affect. Oh, but it still kind of behaved as if it existed. So maybe this way it's like deleting it. One nuance with absolute positioning is that it will be locked relative to its closest positioned ancestor. If you forget to add a position rule to the parent item, this is typically done using position relative, the browser will keep looking up the chain and ultimately default to the body tag. Okay. Lock the search bar element to the top right of its section by parent by declaring its position as absolute. Give it top and right offsets of 50 pixels each. Okay, so you're locking it to its parent. So the search bar, what's section here? Section, okay. Position relative. Search. And where's search bar? Oh, here. So search bar is in section. This is a bit confusing. So section is relative, but then I'm going to tell search bar to be locked to section. Oh, okay. Welcome is outside of section. Let's see what happens. So position absolute, and then top. Oh, I forgot what was it like this. Let's check. No, just top. Top 50 px, bottom 50 px. Okay, so not sure what this did. So this is now locked to section. What if I remove this? Isn't that how I comment out? Yeah, why didn't that work? Interesting, it doesn't work in here? What the hell? I comment out this part? Yes. So why can't I comment out this part? Oh, so weird. This part? What? Okay, so why does this not work? Wonder if I can paste stuff into my workflow. Great. So now I can ask, double click on the image to crop it. Oh, cool. Great. So I can ask why. So this is going to be today's question. So I'll just copy paste. Oh, by the way, as you can see, here's a link to the full videos, right? So don't forget to check those out. This is going to be applied visual design. And then one of the questions is this. Why doesn't commenting work here? Or maybe I'll just add it. Can I write on top of this? Yeah, let's just do it like this. I wonder if I can group these two. There's no grouping? Lock? Oh, I didn't want to lock it. I just wanted to group these two. Not so important. There must be a way though, right? Add comment, duplicate, create frame. Not exactly. Don't need more apps. Frame, no, interesting. Okay. So where was I? I was trying to understand what this did. So let me just delete this. What happens when it's not? Oh. I'm a bit confused. So search bar has absolute positioning, 50 pixels, 50 pixels. And absolute meant that it's going to look to the parent. The parent has section, section doesn't have anything. Okay, so this is just an absolute positioning, I guess. So moving it to, so let's say right 50 pixels. Alright, so this is right now probably the point, 50, 50, 50, whatever. But the bottom is 50, so it should be down here. If I do 10, bottom doesn't affect it. Okay, and what if I do relative here? So this is relative to what? Let me go back to relative. This is what we use, right? Move a relatively positioned element with CSS offsets. Oh, so now I told, okay, left, right, I remember this, so, yeah. I mean, I don't exactly understand what it does, so where is it calculating this, it just, okay, with 0, it would be here, so it's just moving it to the left, 50 pixels. Okay, that's kind of okay-ish, and if I do absolute, it's checking its parent, search bar, which is section, which is welcome, which is body, and there's nothing in there. So it's just like it's probably doing it like to the whole page, right? Unless, of course, I tell section to have top 100 px. Maybe I probably have to tell it position absolute. So section is looking at welcome. Interesting. I don't understand why the search bar is gone now. Now it's back. So the search bar is relative to section, and section is absolute. Okay, so I'm going to add that as a note. Didn't quite understand relative. No, I didn't. Well, absolute relative positioning, parents, etc. So from this one, yeah, so this is 1.3.20. 1.3.18 to 1.3.20, something like this. So I'll have to look into that. So let's just refresh and let's see if we can, I mean, you know, it's easy to do just what they want you to accomplish here. Lock the search bar element to the top right of its section parent by declaring its position as absolute. So I'm telling the search bar to have an absolute position, and it should check its parent element, which is section, and the section element has a relative position. Top 50 pixels, right 50 pixels. So I mean, this kind of makes sense, right? It's checking its parent section, and then the search bar is always absolute to the section. So let me just give, so if I say top 50, right, the search bar should also move. Yes. Okay, that kind of makes sense to me. I guess I don't really understand why this needs to be relative, because if I remove this, it breaks. I mean, it doesn't break, but it changes. Okay, is that a valid question? I think it is. Let's see. This one. So I'm saying, why does this, right, turn into this when I remove well, I have to cut part of it anyway. So why does this turn into that? Crop, and the only thing I did was to remove this. Well, let's do it this way. That's all I did, and then this is what happens. So this is pretty clear, but I'll still add it here, and then text. Why does removing this line cause this change? Okay. So we I think we completed the challenge. Let's not forget that it was kind of unclear, this difference between the absolute and relative positioning. I mean, I kind of understood, but I'm, not an expert yet. Oh, and I didn't copy my solution. Do I need the solution? Oh, why not? Let's do that. So I'll go back. So what did I do here? I just did position absolute, and then top 50px and right 50px. That's it. And then I'll just put the whole thing in there. This was correct? Yeah. Lock an element to the browser window with fixed positioning. Okay, so we're at the 1 hour mark. Let me check how many chapters we still have in this section. Okay, so I guess this is a good point to stop. And the second video we can hopefully finish this section. Let me just count. I think I have 21 here. And then down here is 1, 2, 3, 21, 22, 30, 31. Okay, so we could do a bit more, or we could also do it in 3 videos. Yeah, that's probably a good idea too. So we'll stop here for now, and in our next video we'll continue with this lesson. Thank you for joining, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.